All right, we have identified the problem of a covered and smothered root collar. You can see the decay and the rot that needs to be eliminated, and right now the only way that we can eliminate this is to get an air excavation tool, a root collar excavation. All of this is specified in ANSI. Blow this stuff away down to where you see the flare roots, the anchor roots, and expose it. Now, if there's a tree that we have worked on that the next door neighbor gave us a job on last year, and we're going to compare this one with the other one in just a minute. But before I leave this, once again, we're here to establish a problem, a price, and a solution that is used for it. And so let me confirm the condition of the soil. I've got my other two tools here. Get this out of the way. This is my penetrometer, and I'm going to turn the dial around to you so you can see it. I'm going to push in, and he's got, see where it goes into the red? See where it goes into the red right there? Okay, and I'm going to mark this. All right, we've got about 6 inches of arable soil, which probably makes this acceptable. This is okay. The problem that we're having with this tree is covered and smothered root collar, covered and smothered critical root zone with this fabric, and you can see where the roots are really working hard to come through. See here? See where they're trying to work their way through? Here's one, and we'll pull it out, and that's it. That really needs to be down here in the critical root zone. Now, one other part of the evaluation is going to be the condition of the soil. And we do this with the core sample. What I'm going to do is come right here, I'm going to push down, I'll go as far as I can, and what we're seeing is typically what we see in virtually all of our environments, and that is we've got some loose arable soil on top, we've got a transition layer right here that was probably piled in during construction, and we've got the true ground level right there, which is nothing but very non-permeable, hard-packed red clay. And in North Carolina, when you bake that, they call that a brick. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over just a little bit here, and we're going to test. And there. And that's all. See here? There's the good dirt right there. You can see it right there. See how nice that is? See how nice that is? Okay, and then the further down we go, the tighter packed it becomes. The tighter packed it becomes. And I can barely pull that out now. Let me go back over here, get a little rod. I'm going to pull this out of here, and I'm going to push this in there like that. And you can see that red clay is really hard packed stuff. So what we have confirmed, we'll get that out of there. Boy, it's hard to even get it out of the core sampler here. All right, what we've established, covered and smothered root collar. We've got fabric over the critical root zone of the tree. We have very modest compaction, not very bad, and no organic matter in the critical root zone out here to 6 or 8 feet. And with no organic matter, you have no breakdown. And so from here, let me get an idea of exactly what size of a tree that we're dealing with. Here's my DBH tape. This here, move around. This tree is exactly 14 inches in diameter. And so we'll record this information. so far of about what it's going to cost to do this, but before we do that, let's step back and look at the canopy. All right, what we see in the canopy is a spreading in the middle that indicates that we do not have the right kind of support at the root level for the upper part of the tree. This is a Bradford pear. Some people like them, some people don't, but they are a very popular tree. They are everywhere. We've got one right next door. The next door neighbor hired us to do work on that does not look like this because of the absence of those deficiencies that we just talked about. The most common type of tree preservation action that we engage in is extension of the critical root zones. Everybody grows a tree from 3 inches out to 6, 8, 9, 10 inches, and they never change the dirt skirt around it, and we have to make it bigger. And so let's go over here to one that we've done and worked with successfully, and I'll show you exactly the change between what a treatment can do versus what neglect produces in form of additional expenses and risk of loss for the homeowner. All right, I'm going to make a comparison between this tree that was treated once 2 years ago, and then another time 1 year ago with mulching, and we came in and did some pruning, made some pretty good pruning cuts here, left the branch bark ridge intact, and you can see where the debris is stacked up over there. The homeowner did not have a lot of money to spend on it, but the money he did have, he wanted to spend on exposing the root collar, which you can see we've got all of the roots exposed. This is the flare that we could not find over here on the other tree. And you can see where all of these roots are growing nice and freely out this way. They look really, really good. We did some root pruning on this one right here where it had one root cutting into it, but it's now been taken care of. And here's another good example of a root. Hold on right there, and I'll get my bucket and I'm going to come here and I'm going to show you. All right, you can see where that root was cutting in there, and this root here comes off of there, and because we loosened up the dirt and made the critical root zone fertile, this root was stimulated to grow out away from the tree and not in around the tree to choke it or girdle it and strangle it, which is what we find in so many other instances. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this mulch back, and we're looking for roots, which we're seeing an abundance of roots. See all these nice fine root hairs? That's exactly the type of growth that we wanted to stimulate in this tree, and it makes a huge difference. You know, I'm going to leave that right there, and I'm going to get my core sampler, and I'm going to take a core, and you can see how much difference there is in the soil. Look at this. Look how nice and loose that is. See how nice and loose that is? It's still got a lot of clay in it, but it's loose and arable. Let me get my poker. And we can pull that out of there, and you can see that it's all good dirt. That's exactly what we want. Nice arable dirt, blacker towards the top, of course, because that's where we've got our mulch, but the roots have already penetrated in the next level down below it, 6-8 inches, and it's made this tree look so much better. It's resistant to disease. It has no decay or rot. At one time there probably was some. See where this dark coloring is here? All right, all of that was probably drainage from the tree, and it looks like there's one little root right there. I don't know where it's coming from. All right, this is the difference that you can make with treatments. You can see this tree behind me is better shaped. There's no dieback. It has full foliage as opposed to the one that we just looked at that we're going to treat that is falling apart in the middle. There's some root deficiencies. It has a restricted critical root zone. There's not enough roots below ground to support the above ground growth, and we would suspect that there has been some over fertilization using chemical nitrogen fertilizer, and it makes it grow and at all cost, and that's just that's not a good thing. And so, all right, arborists and tree preservation people, this is how we make money. When we came here to do our initial consultation, you saw where we found decay around the bottom of the tree. It's very obvious. All of this was covered with plastic and with this useless pine bark nuggets. And what we decided, because the owner has a very limited budget, and this is important for you to remember, is we said, okay, why don't you clear the critical root zone for us? We're not going to extend anything. We're not going to add on anything. We're going to aerate and decompact the existing critical root zone as you have cleared it for us, and do the root collar excavation. And we think it's going to solve the problems that we saw up top, which are dieback, which is usually the first sign of, at least this kind of dieback, of restricted root coverage. It doesn't have enough roots down below to support what is up top. And so now we're going to do our root collar excavation. We're going to aerate and decompact. That's 2 of the 3 top tree protection actions that we use, and the owner's going to bring in his own topsoil in 40-pound bags. He's already got it bought. It's staged over by the garage, and he's going to put it in once we're done. We're ready to go to biz. One of the reasons we tell you never to predict what might be below the surface of a root collar excavation is, look what we found here. Now, it is likely that this tree is going to fail. The question is, when does the owner want to take it down and replace it, if they want to replace it at all? You can see where the roots have grown up. They met opposition to compacted dirt, very hard dirt in this neighborhood, and turned back and started to wrap around the tree and began to strangle itself right here, here, and as we go around on the other side, you can begin to see even more. These are little baby Bradford sprouts off of the roots that were here, and you can see where it's already eaten the trunk away right there. This is all bare. There's no bark there at all. The roots have completely wrapped around and strangled. Now, the question would be from the owner is, what can I do to save this tree? And my answer to him is, put the mulch back. Do not put it in contact with the trunk of the tree. Extend the critical root zone out another foot or 2 to the drip line. Do some pruning, bring back the branches a little bit, and irrigate and feed. What is that going to do? It's going to prolong the life of a tree that we know is going to fail. And so that is part of the hazard assessment report that this owner is going to get. They do not have a lot of money, if any, to do further actions, and so that's why he's doing his own topsoil. That's why he cleared the critical root zone on his own, and we divided responsibilities for care of this tree up between us and the owners. That's the create and cooperate part of our protocol, and you'll see us refer to that in other sections. And so right now we're doing everything we can to maintain this tree, but unfortunately, because of the past previous cultural practices, this tree will fail.